Değerli Cumhurbaşkanları, arkadaşlarım,
valuable presidents, we were together here, valuable participants, members of Marmara Group, and Dr. Hakan Suer, the valuable president, and his colleagues. I salute you all with respect, and I congratulate you. For the 28th time, Mr. Hakan and his friends brought everyone in Istanbul. And as they do every year, how do we establish peace? They're talking about it, and then everyone shared their experience about it in the most beautiful way possible. And Hakan Suer became the creator of this event. And also Nobel Prize winner Aziz Sancar, listening to him was pleasant. He talks not only for the Turkey youth, but for the whole Turkic world's youth. So just like other valuable people and institutions who receive these awards and prizes, I thank to all of them. This is true that the arts, culture, they feed a country. We call it soft power in diplomacy. It is such power that, it is such richness that it provides respect and attitude, and it has a sphere of influence where military doesn't. So arts, culture, and sports, and giving awards to the successes in these areas are being admired by me. Valuable, yes. Just as you talk about in here or in different platforms, the international arena is having a crisis. And lots of statesmen here said that the international system collapsed. Many times they repeated. Multiple crises, multiple wars. Actually, crisis and war are not new for us. The Gulf War, the Bosnian War, the Afghan War, the invasion of Iraq. We've passed through and sometimes took decisions related to these important matters. So after the Cold War, we were awaiting a more peaceful order, but these wars had its effects. But finally, conscience won and peaceful resolutions have been established. But now, today, the world doesn't have this conscience. So that's the most saddening part. The world has fragilities, and tolerant fragilities. For instance, the invasion of Crimea, which is not being tolerated by the European Union, and then the Russia-Ukraine war. It reminds me of the tension before the Second World War in Europe. So, equality of sovereign powers, security of borders, respect towards humanitarian rights, we see that all of these areas have been corroded in the international arena. We are not talking about Russia and Europe, but there are also tensions within Europe and within the transatlantic agreement. And on the other hand, when we look at Middle East, unfortunately, the genocide in Palestine and Gaza, they are a black spot in history. Women, children, innocent people are being killed. We're talking about 50,000, 60,000. These are the counted numbers. So Palestinians are systematically being killed. People of Gaza are being stripped of their humanitarian rights, humanitarian aid, including food. And the area was meant to have a two-state successful peace term, but then it has turned into a gangrene. And this is not the case only in Middle East, but radicalization, it's a source of radicalization all around the world, actually. So valuable guests, when we're moving towards a more peaceful world, we see that a more violent, more frequent wars which ignore the security of civilians. Of course, we're not talking about arms conflicts. There is the climate change, wildfires, water issues. They are all actually parts of wars. And they have devastations within themselves. They cause devastations. There are cyber wars, pre-election issues, internal interventions. These are just different aspects of war, and we just see it. Lately, there has been trade wars, and this is not by the United. This doesn't have effects only in the United States, but in the whole world. We'll see the effects. Valuable guests, despite such negativity and ambiguities, I think there is an important truth which needs to be reminded, which is this. The cost of preventing the war, when compared to humanitarian, material, and spiritual cost of the war, it's much lower. The energy sometimes we spend to prevent war, sometimes we say, I'm done with it, I don't have more patience, and my energy is consumed, but the cost of war is too high that we should never give up on preventing the war. We always see that. Once there is a conflict, then the process towards peace takes years. Many years. It turns into chronic issues, frozen issues. And there is no guarantee that the pre-war conditions are going to be achieved. So the post-war cost must always be reminded. Think of the Russo-Ukrainian war or the Israeli-Palestinian war. You can see the cost. Efforts for peace and the costs of the war must be analyzed, and policies must be developed in accordance. This is the responsibility of the leaders of the time. Understanding each other, establishing dialogue, and resolving mutual problems. This is important in terms of preventing war, preventing environments that will create war. So in order to ensure that the leaders must think about the suffering the wars are going to cause, the orphans, the widows. But leaders need to internalize these sufferings so that they will refrain from war and maintain a peaceful and diplomatic attitude. Or it's easy. If you see a war as a final solution, it's easy, and suffering and devastation will follow. It will be inevitable. So prevention of war and opening the doors of dialogue, there are institutions for that. And these institutions must be strong and functioning. As you all know, the Second World War and the Cold War, post-Cold War era, has been organized by these institutions led by UN, AGID, and these were created in eras where wars were serious threats for everyone and showed everyone that there were ways out of the war through negotiation and dialogue. Unfortunately, one of the negativities I see today is that leaders without principles are turning these institutions into dysfunctional and unrespected institutions. And this is the product of a mentality which sees war as a resolution. We are talking about leaders without principles. We shall not allow this to happen. Another important point is that in Europe, Asia, Middle East, America, Africa, people who cause unrighteous wars must be punished severely. They have to be punished. We are not only in terms of ensuring righteousness, but also in terms of prevention. So in terms of that, International Justice Council and other institutions must maintain their strength and reputation, and there should be no double standards on any of the countries, and so that wars are being deterred. They serve as a deterrent and disincentivizing mechanisms. Valuable friends, the last thing I'd like to say in that speech is that like the great philosopher Immanuel Kant describes, permanent peace might be utopic, but this is true that peace can only be facilitated by the people who understands the true value of it, and only then it could be sustainable and there could be a culture of peace. So the leaders are the ones who educate the society. So their speech and their strong arguments are locally, nationally, and globally reminds everyone of the importance of peace, and people who know the importance of peace and people who know the destructiveness of the war will protect their own rights, own people, and humanity from such catastrophes. Giving opportunity to peace will be more fruitful, more productive, and at a much cheaper cost. We know it from experience, from history. So once again, I would like to thank the Marmara Group Foundation for many years, 28 years, for the 28th time. It's not easy. And each time, valuable friends are coming here to the summit and they are sharing their ideas, and we know that the ideas that are being discussed here, they don't remain here. The Marmara Group Foundation are publishing it in several languages, and to the decision makers of today are being told or are being introduced the whole ideas in a summarized manner with the publishings of the foundation. So once again, with that being said, I thank you all for listening to me, and I hope that peace will be permanent in our world, in our country, in everywhere we go.